say that there is basis there for charge. When the Justice of the Peace says that the matter should proceed, it is unfair and untenable that the Attorney General should not turn over the documents.
But the Attorney General says his department did everything it could to help.
It would be expedient, frankly, for me to have taken a different course. It would also have been wrong, and therefore I didn't do it.
The legacy of Bill Reid is a different process for approving lottery grants, but one still driven by politics. Millions of dollars can still be handed out at the discretion of a cabinet minister. Ed Watson, CBC News, Victoria.
Athletes across the country are trying to come to grips with the Dubin Report. That's the Royal Commission set up when the country discovered Ben Johnson used steroids. Dubin's report blames athletes, coaches, doctors, and bureaucrats for the epidemic use of steroids. Now, here in BC, sports organizations have been pursuing the matter of drug use for some time. More from Catherine Clark.
Alan Clausen has been a provincial athlete for 3 years. That means the provincial government helps fund his training. As of August 1st, he and other provincial athletes could be subject to random drug testing outside of competition, anytime, anywhere.
I think it's got to be done, and I mean, these are the steps they got to take to clean it up. Go ahead and take it. I mean, I have no problems. I have nothing to hide.
BC is doing what the Dubin inquiry recommended. The BC sport groups talked about random drug testing away from competition long before Dubin heard his first witness. Now, in 5 weeks, BC will be the first province to introduce this type of testing at the provincial level.
I think this gives every young athlete in BC a clear message. They will be exposed to doping control situations within competition and without competition. And I think it gives a very clear deterrent and message that we don't feel that this is the way sport should be conducted.
So you mean no?
We mean no.
A step in the right direction, but a small step. Athletes like Alan Clausen say the fear of being kicked out of sport in BC is a deterrent for those who dabble in drugs. But until there is random testing of athletes at the international level, Clausen says the problem is not going to go away. Catherine Clark, CBC News, Vancouver.
When it comes to drug use in sports, was the Dubin inquiry worth it? That question will be answered tomorrow morning on CBC Radio's The Early Edition between 6 and 9. Almost every year there's the threat of a strike at the PNE, but every year there's a last-minute deal and the show goes on. But this year seems to be different. Management has issued an ultimatum. Settle by next Tuesday or just forget the fare for this year.
A summer without the PNE fare would be a lot like a hot dog without mustard, a hamburger without onions. But it could happen. A lot of people will lose money, including concession stand operators. Those such as Hunky Bill Connick, who started his food business by peddling cabbage rolls and pierogies at the PNE fair.
We do over $200,000 worth of business out there in 17 days. So if work shut up, it means there'd be a big hole in our gross and a big hole in our net, and paying 23 cents in every dollar to the PNE, which would mean a big loss of revenue for the PNE also.
The neighborhood around the PNE is quiet now, awaiting the onslaught of the fair and its thousands of patrons. When that happens, the area is turned into a big, bustling parking lot. The streets and the lanes are filled with vehicles as residents rent out their yards for parking.
They make quite a bit of money, $7, $8, $9 a car. You can park about 4 cars 3-4 times a day. You can imagine what it'll be.
And there's a good turnover, a good buck out of it, I guess, eh?
That varies. It goes from $5 to, I see, 10.
So while no one gets to be a millionaire, the fair's cancellation would mean the loss of a regular summer windfall for many area residents. On the other hand, some of the neighbors might enjoy the unaccustomed peace and quiet.
Yeah, it'd be a lot quieter, that's for sure. A few people wouldn't be too happy about it, but I wouldn't mind.
Terry Dolan, CBC News, Vancouver.
The BC government has changed the Residential Tenancy Act. It will be illegal for apartment owners to discriminate against tenants with children. All this means that adult-only buildings will be a thing of the past, except for those apartment blocks for seniors or the handicapped. And while the changes will please some, there's also hostility to the new law.
The Glass Manor at the corner of Chilco and Alberni in Vancouver's West End is an adult-only building. The thought of children running around the building is not going over well here.
It's not that I dislike children. The reason is that we don't have any facilities for children to play. An apartment is not like a house. There's not all this room where they can run back and forth.
Apartment owner Leon Glassman can't believe the government is going to tell him how to run his building.
There would be pandemonium. If you go into some of the buildings in which there are children now, you will see the difference between those buildings and those that don't have children. And I think that there's a vast difference in the way they're maintained or the way they're kept.
Tenants say they're paying for the kind of place they want to live in. Vancouver's mayor doesn't buy that argument.
I don't think there's any evidence that suggests that children are bad inhabitants of buildings. In fact, I know many, many young couples who are excellent tenants who have one child and suddenly they're not wanted anymore. I think that is totally inappropriate, and it's not an appropriate approach for our city.
For single mom Carrie McDonald, the search for an apartment has been a nightmare.
Are you hopeful that this change that says they can't discriminate against people because they have children will help?
I really hope it will, and I think it probably will, because now they have that fact in the back of their mind that, well, we kind of have no choice now. So I'm hoping that that'll make a lot of difference to a lot of different landlords.
If the changes do become law, they will of course be good news for people with children trying to find rental accommodation. But it will still leave them two very big problems: the very low vacancy rate in the Lower Mainland and the ever-increasing price being charged for those places that are available. Andy Orr, CBC News, Vancouver.
Teaching the learning impaired. It requires time, patience, and money. That story is next.
3 blue blocks and 1 yellow block. Who didn't I fool? Me.
Some experts say a majority of the people who end up in jail start out with a learning disability. The experts put this figure at 70% and say many of those identified can't learn in a conventional classroom. In Vancouver, there's a school for the learning impaired, but as Deborah Goebel found out, it has serious money problems.
Michael here.
Oh, okay, let's draw a picture of Michael.
Sitting on there, but he's scared of the dinosaur.
2 years ago, Michael Gregory couldn't even ask his mother for something to eat. Today, it's hard to keep him quiet.
Or be mad at
okay.
There are times talk like this.
Michael loves to talk, but he doesn't think like most kids. He can only talk about the here and the now.
You have lots of friends here?
Yeah. There's here right there on the thing at the table.
What if Matthew took your truck? What would you do?
Summer, then he then she said,
Because he can't think in the abstract, Michael has to be taught in a completely different way from most kids. And that's exactly what he gets here. This is small talk.
Trolleys on the bus go click, click, click.
It's a special needs preschool for children with language disorders. 4 teachers and 1 speech pathologist teach these kids on their terms.
Listen again. Put 3 blue blocks and 1 yellow block in the bucket.
That means a lot of repetition.
Who didn't I fool?
Me.
They need lots of talking in visual, concrete terms.
Put 2 red blocks.
Most of all, there's interaction with other kids.
Okay, talk to Terry, Michael.
Terry, what do you want for snack?
But there is a problem here. This school costs almost $200,000 a year to keep going. Social Services pays for the teachers, but there is no funding for the speech pathologist.
She is the person that's providing the consultative in-service for the staff. She's the person that's helping the parents understand the complexity of a language problem. And, you know, you can't really run a speech and language program without a speech and language pathologist.
Food. Okay, let's sing. We can use this hand for signing.
For the past 7 years, parents and teachers have raised money on their own to pay for the speech pathologist. But fundraising has become very competitive. There are no guarantees the money won't dry up. So Small Talk wants the health ministry to pay for the salary. So far, they haven't agreed to that.
You know, one of my big fears about my child and other children with learning disabilities, if they weren't dealt with now, that they would be the problem children in their teens, and that they would be expensive at that point. This is money well spent.
Where's having calls?
Special needs kids will have problems with learning all their lives because language undermines all the learning processes. But these kids are lucky. Having an on-site speech pathologist means they are being taught how to cope with their disability. If the school loses her, future classes won't be so lucky. Deborah Goebel, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, as expected, we had a bit of a turnaround in the weather today. Let's see if Phil Reimer can give us some hope for the long weekend.
Thank you. Yes, a beautiful morning, a little bit of a beautiful afternoon, the first couple of hours, and the clouds started to roll in, the showers, and on and on and on, and here we go. We've got the same kind of low that we had all through the middle part of June, all through the early or late part of May. And remember, it just kept circulating around system after system. The only thing about this low is it's much weaker than the system that was there before. So instead of rain, cloud, and sun, we'll probably be down to a few showers, but the same cloud and sun mixture. Okay, let's go to the forecast while I get my mouth fixed here. A few sunny periods tomorrow. There'll be a few showers in the morning. Chance of a thunder shower when you're heading home tomorrow afternoon. Highs will be at about 20, or just when you're lighting your barbecue. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, mainly cloudy with a few sunny periods. Highs to about 21 degrees. All 3 of those days, we have the possibility of a shower out there. As far as the winds go out in Georgia Strait, not much of a problem there. 15 to 25 in Juan de Fuca from the west, southeasterly. 5 to 10 out in Georgia Strait. That's it. We're out of here. See you tomorrow night.
Thank you, Phil. I don't know. He's wavering just a little on the long weekend forecast. I'm not so sure about that.
It's the usual July 1st forecast, I think. Historically, it's been a nasty weekend, hasn't it? Yes, it has.
Yes, it has.
It was kind of a nasty night, actually, out at Swangard. It rained a little bit, but another good night for the Vancouver 86ers. We'll show you why. Stay with us. We're back in a moment. Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with soccer. Nothing to report from the World Cup as the quarterfinals don't begin until Saturday, but local fans were able to get their soccer fix out at Swangard Stadium tonight as the 86ers tried to stretch their home unbeaten streak to 39 games. The 86ers taking on Ottawa tonight and taking it to Ottawa early on. It's Ivor Evans making one of his patented scampers down the left side. Nice little move there. Crosses for Mobilio. The quick touch for Lowry, but Jamie is stymied by intrepid keeper John Cole. Yes, the Ottawa Intrepid. 86ers did get on the board in the 20th minute. Carl Valentine's corner finds Catliff's head. John nods it home for his 8th goal of the season and 49th of a pretty impressive CSL career. Early in the second half, the Sixers go 2 up. Dougie Muirhead, the super sub, actually he started tonight, doing much of the work on this one, setting up the Fiji Flash, kind of a deflection here in front for Ivor Evans. And it gave the 86ers a 2-0 edge. All that remained was for Catliff to get his 50th. In the 80th minute, it happened. John capitalizing on some shoddy work by the Ottawa D to close out the scoring. 3-0 Vancouver wins. 2 goals for John Catliff. The second one, a milestone of sorts.
How does it feel to now have 50 goals?
Same it did when I had 48, really. I'll keep plugging away and try and get 100 one day in this league, but it's not something that I think about.
3 other CSL games tonight. Montreal blanked Winnipeg 2-0. Hamilton routed Edmonton 4-0, and it was North York edging Kitchener 1-0. Well, baseball now, and first up, the Blue Jays story from Boston. The start of tonight's game delayed by rain at Fenway Park. The way things turned out for Toronto, the Jays probably wish it never got started. Actually, not a bad beginning for the Jays in this one. Tony Fernandez at third. Kelly Gruber connects on a Mike Boddicker pitch, sends it into the Boston Knight over the Green Monster. Gruber's 20th home run, 2-1 Jays in the third. With the score tied at 2 in the fourth, Wade Boggs drives a ball up the middle off the glove of Fernandez, and that allowed Carlos Quintana to score easily. It was 3-2. Boston led. Wheels really came off for the Jays in the fifth. Boston pushing across 5 runs. Here's how it started. Brunansky lifts a fly ball down the line and right. Junior Felix has a break failure, overruns the ball. Brunansky gets credit for a triple. Next hitter, Dwight Evans, ropes a single to right. That scored Brunansky. That spelled the end for Toronto. 9-5. The Sox sock it to Toronto. Jays fall 2.5 games back of Boston in the AL East, and they get to look at Roger Clemens for the series final tomorrow at Fenway. Oh, boy. Orioles double the Twins 6-3 in 10 innings. Brewers nip the Yanks 5-4. Rob Deere with his 13th homer for the Beer Boys. Tigers got past Oakland 5-4, and that means that Oakland is now tied with Chicago for top spot in the AL West. The Sox winning their 6th straight today in Anaheim. Nolan Ryan wins his 7th of the year. The Rangers rip the Twins. And former Vancouver Sea Jeff Schaefer drove in the winning run as the Mariners nipped KC 3-2 tonight down in the Kingdome. Over in the NL, the Expos losing to the Cubs. It was Ryan Sandberg doing most of the damage for Chicago today at Wrigley Field. 2 home runs. His first came in the first inning against Kevin Gross. Sandberg has hit 43 homers since last year's All-Star break, more than any other major leaguer. His success going to the head of some Chicago fans, apparently. In the 7th inning, Sandberg strikes again, his 24th of the season. This one off of Bill Sampson in the 7th inning. Sandberg is hitting .422 in his last 29 games, 17 homers in that span. He's only 2 hits short of 1,500 for his career. No wonder the folks in the Windy City are starting an MVP campaign. Larry Walker, the boy from Maple Ridge, got his bat going pretty well lately. He got Montreal within 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning. This is 6th homer of the season. But watch what happens in Chicago when a member of the visiting team hits a home run. Do they want the ball as a souvenir? No, they don't. This guy airmails it back from the streets. Walker does trot home. Expos lose it 5-3. Steve Wilson of Vancouver picked up his first save of the season today in that game for the Cubs, his name being bandied about in trade talks apparently between the Cubs and Indians. Mark Grace and Corey Schneider's names involved as well. Expos lose a game to the Pirates. The Bucks stop Philly 5-3. Mets have won 9 straight. Darryl Strawberry's hitting streak reaches 16 games in a 5-2 decking of the Cards. Giants end a 4-game losing skid with a win in Cincy. Atlanta has won 3 of 5 under new manager Bobby Cox. And finally, it was the Astros hammering the Padres 9-1 at the Astrodome. Well, even though Oakland was beaten, it was hardly a rough day for Jose Canseco. As expected, Jose became the highest paid player in baseball today when he put his John Henry on a 5-year contract that will pay him $4.7 million a year. Not bad stuff. Based on a 162-game schedule, that works out to about $29,000 a game, a little more than $3 grand per inning. So far this year, Canseco has 20 homers, 55 RBIs. That despite missing 14 games with a sore wrist. The 5-year deal will pay him $23.5 million.
Well, I don't think it's what I'm worth. I think it's what the market holds, what the organization are willing to pay for a player, really. I don't think when the Oakland A's considered me being here 5 years, I don't think they just considered me as what I do on the field. Also, the popularity I have. Whether it's controversial, whether it's positive, people want to come out and see Jose Canseco play.
Mr. Humble, now Mr. Rich. Vancouver Canadians losers tonight up in Edmonton. Final in that PCL game, 8-2. Well, the BC Lions will know a little more about their personnel by this time tomorrow night. Edmonton in town for a preseason game Thursday at the Dome. Surely things will go more smoothly than they did today. The Lions put on a spread for some of their corporate friends at BC Place.
What some guys won't do to get publicity.
So much for the perfect kickoff luncheon. For starters, Joe Cap's left leg had a disagreement with a chair. Are you starting the year on the disabled list or not? That's a nasty-looking cut on your leg.
Well, all the talking I've been doing, somebody says he cut his tongue and it's coming out his knee.
Once recovered, Cap was up at the podium, explaining the tardiness of 2 players, Emmanuel Tolbert and Ray Alexander.
The reason the fellows were late, they had a little bit of a auto thing coming in. I understand nobody's hurt.
Never to be outdone, Murray Pesum did his best to introduce a member of his front office.
My speech. Dick Gaston is here. It's our new general manager, sales manager, whatever the hell he is. But he's doing a great job.
The name is Dick Gaston. His title is VP of Marketing. His job is to get fans into BC Place.
Prior to Flutie signing, I think there was a lot of speculation the day before that he may come on board. And certainly in the last 2 days, season ticket sales have absolutely skyrocketed.
Gaston may be given to overstatement, but Flutie's signing has had an impact. The Lions say that the former Heisman Trophy winner's presence has helped boost season ticket sales to around the 20,000 mark, an increase, according to Gaston, of about 1,000 over this time a year ago.
Excuse me, Jay?
Tomorrow night, Cap and company will get an indication of whether Lions fever is catching on as they play their first exhibition game. Edmonton is here for a 7:30 start under the Dome. And don't look for Mark Gastineau in the lineup tomorrow. He missed this morning's practice. Apparently he slept in. Larry Kuharek was to have met with Gastineau tonight to discuss his no-show. The former NFL star still hurting with injuries to his knee and ankle and apparently alarm clock as well. CFL exhibition season began tonight in Calgary. Kuharek's ex-team defeating Winnipeg 29-10, more than 23,000 taking in that one at McMahon Stadium. NBA draft held tonight. Top pick, Derek Coleman, New Jersey. That's sports.
Thanks, Barry.
Okay.
And thanks for joining us. See you again tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.